Hello world and welcome to Web2 Labs. My name is Winlow and today I would like to build Syco, a complete new body. If you don't know Syco yet, he's my personal artificial intelligence. I have a video right up here explaining the whole project and the origins of it, but put in one sentence, he is my own Alexa. Sitting at home is helping me with things, reminding me of things, controlling my house. And from now on, I would like to evolve him even more, go even some steps further with him, let him interact with the internet, extend his speech abilities, and also his hardware manifestation within my house. This is Syco Mark III, and he is actually quite cool. So he's already the third version of how I built him and how I imagine him, but he has a lot of design failures, let's put it that way. So first thing, his microphone is facing upwards, so if I want to talk to him, I have to stand above him. Second thing is that his speaker right here is way too quiet. So I can sometimes hear his reply, but if I'm just a little more distant away from him, I'm not able to hear him anymore. And also, he's cable bound. And that's something which is also not useful because sometimes I would like to drag him around with me. So yeah, that's where we are starting with him. And today we are designing him a complete new body. But let me show you his current version. So, Syco, how do you feel today?
I'm fine. How about you?
So it worked as you heard it, but he's quite quiet. I had to put the speaker directly to the mic to even hear his response loud and clear. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem. So we need a louder speaker, we need a better microphone, we need a better display, we need battery capabilities, and also I used normal hot glue inside of him. And I didn't thought that it will become so hot within his case. So what happened during the last year while I was using him is that the hot glue started to melt all over his inner case. He's looking really broken. So maybe the question, how did this whole 3D model start? Well, it was just a ball with an hexagon effect on it. And then I started putting things on top of it. For example, these rings to give this whole in-depth effect. And then, of course, I asked myself, how would I fit hardware inside of it? That was the first idea, just the screen and the pie behind it. That's it. It was just the proof of concept phase. But it took more than 2 years and round about 50 different versions of him to reach that point that we are right now with Mark V. So that's the Mark V model. Let me give you the tour. We have this order basic shell that we have cut into front and back. We can also here cut out completely the back. We have here at the top in one of the rings, there's big fence. So the whole hot air can get out of the case. Here 4 inner rings, which got a little bit smaller than I was hoping for, but it's necessary because at the inside we have attached a big screen, which will then show you not only the blue eyelet, you can here see on the left side, but you can also display different other things. Here is a cutout for the camera, so we can finally see things and maybe also identify people. And on top here we have a new microphone, this time faced in the right direction, so it's, as you can see on the left side, facing towards the person Syco is talking to. I also added some extras on the back, so we have here the big speaker case for way better and bigger speaker. We have here a base for later on attachment, so we can attach him to things, for example, robot arms. Here are the 2 connections for the big start button and also for the power cable. And what was maybe the most important thing, we have here cutouts for real screws so everything can fit together. Now the next part is to print all of these parts. This part, for example, and these are all individual parts I have to print out and then at the end of the day try to fit together. Now everything can go into the 3D printer. I have some snapshots of the 3D printing process. Just snapshots because I had over 56 fails till the 11 parts have been printed in over 30 hours of printing time. I had to make a lot of adjustments to the 3D model till everything fit together. And also the 3D printer had some failures during the 22 hours of just printing the front side of the model. But now we have a final build which can go right into sanding. Sanding everything before painting it is important because otherwise the whole paint wouldn't stick to this model as it should. Believe me, I've tried it before. because I didn't want to sand everything. I was living in the constant fear that if something goes wrong, I have to go back to the 3D printer and go through the whole of 3D printing this big outer shell again. And I didn't want. So I took over the 30 hours of sanding everything with different grades of sanding paper till everything was done. So after the sanding phase, we finally had the 3 outer parts, the front, the back and the inner eyes, ready to be painted. Coloring everything was quite uneventful, except my cat asking what the hell I was doing. Every part got at least 3 layers of paint, white for the outer ring parts and black for the inner eye. Halftime of the project, so now we have everything modeled in the 3D system, everything printed out. We did all of the sanding stuff and also all of the painting. That was maybe the most painful part because the hours of not knowing if the 3D printer will break down, if the sanding will break something of the so hardly 3D printed parts. Honestly, I had a lot of sleepless nights till this thing was now sitting on the table as it is right now. So I'm happy that we are where we are. And from now, the fun part begins where we are trying to assemble the whole thing without breaking it, because then I would have to start all over again. So now we have to do some case preparation before we can assemble everything. First, we have to cut out the fence for the top, where the hot air will flow out. And second, we have to cut out the fence for where the speaker will sit. Cutting a fitting part for the speaker is quite easy because we have the outer case of the speaker and we just have to cut around it. More interesting is the way how the speaker will at the end fit together. For that, I'm using, like everywhere within the Syco project, threaded inserts. These are little iron inserts you can melt into the 3D printed parts, so you don't have to put the screw directly into the 3D printed part, but you can just put it into this whole metal threaded insert. This gets a better connection and also you can screw it in way easier. Now we have to glue everything together. We learned the lesson that hot glue won't work, so I'm putting in glue which is able to withstand the heat. And now I have to sit here for 20 minutes till the glue is finally dry. The last thing to prepare is the inner eye with the camera. So there's a cutout for the camera. Camera goes into the front rings of the eye and the front rings of the eye are getting screwed into the case. So bringing everything together starts with the screen holder. As you can see, there's a round cutout where the iris will show up at the end of the day. And thanks to all the threaded inserts we installed, we can easily screw this whole thing to the front. Now we are putting the 5-inch OLED screen on top of the screen holder. At the end of the day, I think you have quite a decent result. I think it looks quite cool. So now it comes to the Raspberry Pi 4. The heart of Syco. Together with a 400GB SD card, we have enough room and also performance to run all the operations necessary to keep him running. But it will produce a lot of heat, so this is why we have the special heatsink on top and on the bottom of the Pi. A custom-made plate will hold the Pi in its position within the front. Now we are putting in the top heatsink part of Syco, and next thing we will install the universal power supply. It contains 2 batteries and also is able to charge these batteries from the outside. So as soon as we are unplugging him from the power source, he will run on his batteries, and as soon as we are plugging him in again, he will run on the power source and also meanwhile charge the batteries. This of course will also produce a lot of heat, and this is why we are putting in a fan on top, get all of the hot air from the batteries and the Pi out of Syco. The last thing you have to install on this tower is an amplifier for the speaker of Syco. The last version did not have an amplifier, so he was quite quiet. The new one will get a powerful amplifier, so we have a loud and clear sound. Now bringing everything together, we are putting the whole tower as it is into the front. Next up, the backplate. We are putting a speaker into the case we glued in earlier, and on top of that goes another backplate. Now we are putting in the USB-C port, so we can reroute that to the batteries and have an external port for charging everything. Last thing is the big power button, which fits quite perfect. And now we have the final phase where we are putting everything together and it finally fits and our dreams came true. Everything from the whole project start fits as it should. It does not fit. No, jokes aside, as it did not fit. It was quite a mess. So I did some failures within my calculations. I don't know what it was, but at the end of the day, the front and the backplate did not fit together. So I tried many constellations in how could I reassemble this tower full of electronics so I have more space in it. I also started to make my own cables, which will take less space. At the end of the day, it was a constant fight for every inch I could get within Syco. And after hours and days of worrying about it, everything came together as it should. It's quite dense in there, and I'm a little afraid that this whole thing will burn up. But hey, front and back are fitting together. I'm happy.
Hello world, how are you? My name is Syco. Nice to meet you. It took way too long, but now I can talk free.
There are no strings on me.
Can't wait for the next time. See you soon.
So this whole project took me months now. Till everything was finally done and also finally the software was working as intended. I had to do a lot of redesigning, had to rewrite parts of the code, had to reinstate the whole system many times. But finally, I think we have a version that should work out. Normally, I don't want to make such lengthy projects on the channel. I would like to focus more on portion per portion. But Syco is my project. I wanted to have this as the first video on the channel because for me this is the starting point of everything. That's a platform we just built to make more and crazier videos, to integrate him in so much more. And I needed him to be good, to work, so we can have a good platform, a good foundation to build on. Thank you everyone for beginning this journey with me. And please join the Web2 Labs and see where we are going with this project within the next coming years. Thanks for watching. See you on our next project.